Thank you for coming to Compass Starlight. I decided I wasn't going to do a weekend, midweek reading this week. Sometimes it just doesn't happen, and it's because I get busy with other things or I record a video and I just don't have time to edit. Or other times I'm not in a place where I can upload, I don't have connectivity. But today I decided I wasn't going to do a midweek reading. It was a choice, it was a decision. And I think what I'd like to do instead is talk about some things that have been on my mind. It's kind of buggy out here. Anyway, I wanted to talk about some things. What kinds of things? Some things have been on my mind, weighing on my mind, like things about friendship. I know in some readings that I watch, and also readings that I've done, the subject of value has come up, what we value, but in those readings that I watch, it's more like how we value ourselves. And last night I got a late night text from an old friend. She sent somebody I've known from I was about 15 or 16. She sent a project. I think it was a paper that she wrote, perhaps for a Spanish class. Perhaps it was written while we were going to school together in Spain. It was written in Spanish, and I think part of the objective was to use different syntax, context, conjugate different tenses. But it was written way back when, and it's a paper for me. It's about some things that I used to say, and also things that we think about. Does it have to do with value so much? No, maybe the value of life, but I've been in a very contemplative mood. One of the things I used to say frequently was a reflection on our time, how we spend our time, and how we are or are not focusing on building a legacy. What I would say is that we have the same 24 hours to a day that Joan of Arc had. I know, it's a little odd. But what are we accomplishing? What is it that we're doing with our time, right? Are we making a legend of ourselves? Although Joan of Arc probably was not aware of the legend she would become. And then the other part, of course, is about friendship, as far as what I've been contemplating about. So this friend who sent me the late night text with a few photographs of this paper she had written was about things that were said in reality between us. We had characters we embodied, not necessarily different personalities, but maybe an alter ego, an imaginary self. And when I lived in Spain, I never slept well. I was up late at night and I would talk to this friend, and sometimes I thought that we could read minds, ESP, mental telepathy, and sometimes I wouldn't get something while I lay in my bed thinking, talking to her at night, and the next day I would bring it up. So we were talking about this last night. I didn't really understand what you meant by such and such. When I experienced it, she would talk back to me. But when she had these experiences, my alter ego, my character would never answer her. And she would reflect on the differences between my behavior during the daytime when we met face to face in reality, and the behavior of my character to whom she spoke when she was trying to fall asleep late night in bed, thinking to herself. My character never responded to her, but I did. And I guess something I never knew is that my character never spoke to her, nor did my character ever smile. So that was one of the benefits about being around me in reality. We did have a lot of fun together. In her paper, she reflects on me not smiling as often. Maybe there was some discord in our friendship at the time. I'm not sure if that's what was going on. I mean, the paper is written in Spanish, and I could say that perhaps both of us had a more rudimentary understanding of the language back then in terms of our ability for composition, although she was definitely more advanced than I was. And I have a better understanding of it now as an adult. But again, that was years ago. I would like to make a note of importance that we were 15 or 16 at the time, and our friendship has lasted over 30 years, which is an important note. In addition to receiving her late night text last night, I also received a phone call from my best friend, a person whom I call my best friend, somebody who is like a brother to me, somebody who I've known my entire life. And he called to tell me that he had run into one of our childhood friends, one of our peers when we were 13 to 15 years old, perhaps, that this individual had resurfaced and had purchased a home near where he lives. You know, he and I hardly talk throughout the year. We call each other to wish one another happy birthday, and if I happen to be in the proximity of his home, we always get together. We have a meal together, we hang out, we go fishing. There are different things that we'll do to spend time together and confirm our alliance and our fidelity to one another, our loyalty to our friendship. And it's beautiful. It's very simple and it's beautiful. And I call him my best friend because he's been there for a lifetime, literally. But I also don't take much time throughout the year to confide in him my trials and tribulations. And that is a mutual exchange. Nor does he, is what I wish to say. Now, this friend that sent me the late night text, sometimes we communicate about once a year, and other times we communicate more frequently. We would like to communicate more frequently, however, there is quite the time difference, and that complicates things. We can get rather deep, but there's never any resolution, but we do confide in one another some of our deeper concerns, some of our current struggles, and that sort of thing. But I wanted to talk about friendship and what is friendship. I think I've been going through something recently with a friend that has definitely put me in a mood, because there was some dishonesty and it really hurt my feelings, my expectations. We see each other every day, pretty much. And there are people that I see on a daily basis. I don't confide in them to such detail. I don't expect them to confide in me, and I don't expect them to support me in the same way. So what is friendship, and what is it to have a best friend? You know, when we're children, we can change our favoritism for a best friend, like we change our preference for a flavor of M&M, or not M&M, they're all chocolate, for like jelly beans, for candy, whatever, right? You see children and they're like, oh, this is my best friend, and a week later they have a different best friend, and we evolve, we mature, and what is it though? There's something that as children we connect with one another, and therefore through that connection we call an individual a best friend, and then we find someone else that we connect with, and this does touch on the paper that my friend had written, the one that sent a copy to me late last night. Because we can feel so alone. We can feel like we're not accomplishing much in our lives, and we can have dreams and we can have goals, and we can feel this frustration for not having this joy of life, this enthusiasm for things. And even when we're alone, she says, we still have music, that there is this value in music. She's definitely musically inclined, so that's something that's of high importance to her, and I don't know that I value music quite as much as she does. She is a musician. She has been a musician. But I think there's a line I'd like to look at and try and translate. She says, there is nothing more beautiful than someone who has used all of their force, mentally, physically, and continues to want, except want to die. I believe that was what it says. There's nothing more beautiful than someone who can put all of their mental force and all of their physical force into something. This is to say, ultimate passion. And if you've ever seen a musician hard at work on a stage, you can see that. I used to go sit at the practice sessions for the symphony when I lived in another state, and you could see in the physical movements of that violinist. She was amazing. All of her force, all of her energy, physically and mentally, into striking the right chord. It is moving. And I believe that's the point that my friend was making about music. But in reflection of that, I would venture to say that anyone who puts all of their mental force and all of their physical force into accomplishing something for themselves is truly beautiful as well. And that, ideally, is the legacy we'd like to leave when we contemplate, with those same 24 hours we have to a day that Joan of Arc had, what are you doing with your life? Are you physically, mentally, spiritually pushing yourself to great ends, to great achievements? That, therein lies the beauty of life. Now, consider your life and what you are accomplishing. Consider your friendships and how are they reflecting that back to you. That's what I'm struggling with. So, I have a friend that I'm struggling with. Neither of the two that reached out to me yesterday that I previously mentioned. It is someone I see almost daily, and it's an intimate relationship. There's intimacy in our exchange, what we share with one another. So when I say that my friend was dishonest with me and I felt hurt by that, obviously that's my own expectations of what should be shared. I expect that if I ask a question, my friend isn't going to lie to me, and I think that is mostly where I found I was hurt. Again, that is my expectation. On the other hand, when you're close with someone and you love them, must they share everything with you? Where is the line? Where is the privacy? And why some friends do we see on a daily basis and not feel compelled to share with them and not feel that they need to share with us? And again, going back to my friend's paper that she sent to me last night, what we look for in life is connection. If we had it, always, if we were understood, how much better off we would feel about ourselves to be understood. Is it an impossibility? I think we find it at times with different people. So we have perhaps friends or acquaintances that we encounter sometimes on a daily basis, and they cannot meet us there because they don't share the same viewpoints. They don't understand us in the same way, and yet we find a way to get along, and that's great. That's a positive thing. And then we have friends that we have known half our lives or our whole lives, and they understand us or they don't, right? There's some friends we have that we can pick up where we left off and have a good time and share in an experience of the moment. But there are other friends that maybe we've had for a lifetime or half a lifetime that we truly feel understand us. And that's a blessing. So, what makes a best friend? Should we be able to feel understood? Should we be able to share with a best friend anything and everything, and at least be loved and accepted? And how do you find that that's mutual? What is a best friend? I mean, I was thinking about it today earlier when I was contemplating making this video. I think our friends know, I should say, correction. I think our best friends know our dirtiest secrets and our most destructive habits. They may not understand them, but they accept us anyway, and they love us anyway. That is unconditional love. That is unconditional friendship. And so, to not feel, or to feel like you can't tell someone your dirtiest secrets or your most destructive habits or share anything about them, then you're not really sharing all of yourself. We don't make ourselves vulnerable with everyone. And how do we value those with whom we can share that information? Do you share and expect the same in return? Do you make yourself as vulnerable as you expect others to make themselves to you in these close, intimate relationships? And by intimate, I mean knowing someone very well, in and out. Knowing their secrets, knowing their habits, knowing where you have to call someone out and being able to do so without losing a friendship. So I sit here at dusk. It definitely looks darker to me out here than it does on the camera. And I'm thinking about it. Because there's also another element at play. The sharing and the caring is one thing. But the other thing is when something gets in the way of that sharing and caring, that when you put that friendship aside for something else that you need to do, that you have to do, that you feel compelled to do, how are you valuing that friendship? And if you are the recipient of such decisions or indecision, as the case may be, how do you stand up for yourself? This is to say, if someone puts something before you, it would seem that the individual values that thing over your friendship. It feels like it. But that may not always be the case. Take a look at addiction. If you are an individual who is standing on the outside and feeling like your importance is of no consequence, what do you do? Do you move on? Dissolve a friendship? Release that vulnerability and that confidence? How can one be supportive? Should one? Because how do we weigh the measure of valuing ourselves and upholding our standards while simultaneously taking a back seat and being set aside for something else? How can you be one and the other at the same time? How can you still value yourself, know that you have value, show that you have value, hold yourself in high regard when it seems like someone else is not holding you in high regard? That's my conflict. Do I have answers? No, I think that I have to let time pass. I thought I could let go and abandon ship, but is abandoning a friendship really the appropriate measure? I don't have answers. I just thought it was something that I would like to contemplate with my audience. Because oftentimes when you, my viewers, see my videos, it's because there's something within my videos that resonate with you. I hope that when you encounter my videos, there is something within them that resonates with you. So here we are. I don't know if any of my viewers are experiencing similar situations, nor do I know how best to proceed through this difficult time. But it seems heavy. I welcome any and all comments, and thank you so much for coming to my channel, Compass Starlight. Thank you for watching.